Tilt Street.
This is when it's real.
Welcome to another episode of the Tilt is Real Fantasy Podcast. Coming to you live from the chef's table, here are your hosts, James Crease and Juan Pena.
Let's go. Welcome back, everyone. It is Monday, November 9th, and we had a crazy week 9 on Sunday. Joined with me, as always, Mr. Juan Carlos Pena and Mr. JAWN Swanson. How's everybody doing today?
Doing well, Chef. Doing well. Happy Monday. What's going on, guys? What's going on, Juan?
Doing fantastic, man. We're talking about fantasy football. We're recapping some games. You know, it's always a good time when we're talking football, guys.
For sure. We were just talking off show a little bit too about how everybody's games went yesterday. Yesterday was a fun day, man. We had a great show Sunday mornings. And anybody who tuned in and came in with the questions, man, we had a lot of really great questions, a lot of tilts, a lot of similar tilts.
Yeah,
they played out, and we'll definitely touch on those. But just real quick, just to say that thanks to everybody who was tuning in yesterday, for sure.
you got to shout them out.
Yesterday.
Yeah, they drove the show. Basically, they just they kept asking questions, and they related one to the other, and it felt like a nice steady flow of questions, and they all related to one another, and we kind of were able to solve some tilts. And I know we helped some people out yesterday.
Hope so, man. I believe it.
Yeah.
And I got through by the skin of my teeth in some of my leagues, man. It's getting close out there. Big shout out to T King Mode, 0.6 for the win, buddy.
Oh, 0.06, Beth. Oof.
No, it was 0.6. I just double checked it. Yeah.
0.6. Oh man, that's still close. That's a close body.
So close in a super flex league. I mean,
Mhm.
that's one.
Oh, that's a 0.6 in the super flex. Man, that's close. Oof.
That is really close.
It's really close.
Oof. That's how it be sometimes.
Shout out to my boy Justin Jackson for
The goose
not
egg.
giving any for the goose egg to
He is
T King Mode. Help me out.
He is keeping me in this Monday night matchup. In my strongest league right now, in my 7-1 league, I need to avoid 6.5 points from who do I got here? Who do I got to avoid from? Hold on, I gotta look this up. Moving on. Yep. No. Okay. Yeah. So I got to avoid 6.5 points from Jacoby Myers. You guys think it's half point PPR? Do you think guys? What do you guys think? You think I can do it?
Oh, I think he gets that.
6.5. You have nobody going.
I'm up by 6.5 points. It's half point PPR. No bonuses, nothing like that. Yeah, and I'm up by. Oh wow, I'm up by 5.5.
Listen.
Yeah. So 4 for 40. Yeah, he's got that. I think.
The Jets are giving up 40 fantasy points per game to the wide receiver, 10th worst in the league. So there's a good chance that he gets some of those 40 points, cuz.
Yeah, I know. I know it already. I'm just kind of trying to see. Maybe anything can happen. Any given.
You're absolutely right.
I'll tell you what. Any given Monday night, you get guys that come out here. Any Monday night, I'll tell you, they're. It's wild, man. It's wild. It's a wild time.
What was his stat line last week, Chef? It was like 5 for 56 or something, right? I believe that was Jacoby Myers' stat line last week. So if he replicates that, you're in trouble, Mr. Swanson.
Nice call out. Yeah, I think I might
58
be.
on 10 targets.
Oh, good gravy. Okay, all right.
Close.
Well, I'm done. Okay, well,
It may not be a replay. They may just run the ball. Who knows?
Correct.
The Jets can be beaten in more than one way. I have, if I had to put my thumb on it, I would say, and Vegas probably agrees with me that Cam Newton will have at least one rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know about Jacoby Myers. He came out of nowhere. N'Keal Harry's out. But we'll get into that in a little bit. Let's go over some Sunday night or just Sunday in general, running down the Sunday slate. We saw the Broncos face the Falcons. Falcons win 34-27. Matt Ryan keeps doing his thing with these guys, and Calvin Ridley was out in this matchup, and we saw an Olamide Zaccheaus,
Big Z, man,
come out
with
Big D.
4 receptions on 6 targets for 103 yards and a touchdown. He is the breadwinner in this one for the receiving core.
Yep.
20.3 fantasy points, man. He just comes out of nowhere. I thought Russell Gage was going to take it, but it turns out to be Zacchaeus.
It had to be somebody, Chef, and we were expecting Russell Gage to have a big game and have high involvement in the offense, but they decided to take some deep shots to Zacchaeus, and they hit. When something's working, you got to keep it moving. And this game wasn't as close as the score indicates either. The Broncos came back late, but this was all Atlanta all day.
Yeah, they were gonna give it back, weren't they? They were close to doing it.
Mm-hmm. They wanted to. Yeah,
which is how it felt too, because it's the Falcons. You kind of expect this. You know what I mean? It was getting kind of hairy towards the end. But yeah, man, Big Z took it. He sure did.
Matt Ryan did his thing again, 25 on 35 attempts, 284 for 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Obviously, one of those touchdowns goes to Julio Jones. Jones finished with 5 for 54 and a touchdown, 16.4 fantasy points for the day.
That's a decent day. Decent day for Julio.
That's a Julio Jones day. Yeah.
The touchdown saved you there because you were expecting him to have more volume too, but they were up and they kept feeding the ball to Todd Gurley and just kind of chewing up the clock towards the end of the game. And even if it's not efficient, Chef, you got to love that every game this year he's had 14 carries or more. So he's been involved in the offense, and we thought he might have some games where he had less carries, but 14 or more, I'll take that week in and week out.
Yeah, 21 touches on the day, and Todd Gurley just continues to do it. And he scored 13.5 fantasy points, but it got him to be he's RB11 on the week with 13.5 fantasy points.
Is he really?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's RB11.
Yeah, it was a tough slate this week for running backs, tough running back matchups. So with the Todd Gurley owner, you're saying, downgrade him to an RB2 sort of level, but that's where he's been all year in that point. So he kind of hit his floor, and I'm happy if I'm getting Todd Gurley's floor and he's giving me double-digit fantasy points. I drafted him as an RB2, or I traded for him as an RB2, not my lead guy. So I'm happy with this production from Todd Gurley.
You've seen it. He's doing it with efficiency, Chef. He's got 9 touchdowns on the season, so that adds to it. Like his lowest output was 46 yards, but he is able to get in the end zone. And on an offense that produces and is constantly getting them opportunities, they love him in the goal line. He's going to stay in RB2, I think, the rest of the season.
100%, and it's almost quiet, like very quietly. He is he's a borderline RB, like back end RB1, quietly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's only had 2 games with under 10 fantasy points in PPR scoring. That was week 2 against Dallas and week 6 against Minnesota. They go on a bye next week, and I think they're going to rest him up a little bit. He's going to have a nice little siesta down in Atlanta and chill out and recharge his body. And I think he's going to be, if not the same, maybe better going down the stretch. I believe so.
What about the other side of the ball? Let's talk about them.
Speaking of getting better down the stretch,
yeah,
Drew Lock did his thing, even if it was a little bit in garbage time.
Yeah, man.
Hey, for fantasy, garbage time sometimes is the best time.
Garbage
time is the best time. That's why I love taking the trash out. That's why I volunteer. I told my girlfriend, I said, you are not allowed to take out the trash or the recycling because it's a bit of a walk and it's far away. So I said, you can't do that. So I love garbage time.
Garbage time got Drew Lock to QB4 on the week.
My man.
Right behind Mr. Patrick Mahomes. So he's doing his thing, and we knew he would. 25 completions on 48 attempts, 313 yards, 2 touchdowns. Got another touchdown on the ground, 47 yards on 7 carries, 30.22 fantasy points.
That's pretty much what you'd expect against the Falcons for Drew Lock.
No, that's I think it goes beyond that because I know Juan kind of got me on the side of Drew Lock in the offseason, and he was hoping that Drew Lock would turn into somewhat of a good quarterback streaming option at some point during the year. And yesterday rather, he showed up as that. So I applaud that. And to go along with it, Mr. Jerry Jeudy
just crushed it yesterday. Calling for the ball, putting his hand up when he's going down on the out route. He was just handling his business, and they couldn't stop him. They didn't have an answer for him. They really didn't.
Nope.
Absolutely.
He looks like Emmanuel. Maybe it's because he's. I'm sorry to cut you off. Because he wears number 10. He looks like the Emmanuel Sanders of old. Like he looks like the old Emmanuel Sanders. And when you see that ball go to number 10, you know it's just it's gonna happen. And he's killing it, man. I love him.
Listen, I love that we talked about him yesterday, and he was a smash play for us, and we knew that the matchup was going to favor them. And Atlanta's given up 30.6 points to the quarterback, so we expected Drew Lock to get his some way, somehow. But, Chef, that move that you're talking about where he put his hand up on A.J. Terrell, he ran at him, put his hand up like he was running the go, and turned his head ever so slightly, like a little subtle head turn, which makes the corner think the ball's coming and it's up in the air, and then he pumped the brake. Then he pumped the brakes and turned around and stopped.
Gotta be smart, man.
Elite level route running right there, and it's good to see it finally happen.
It really is. That's a different animal when you're smart. When you have that presence of mind to be able to do something like that in that situation, that's what sets you apart from the other half. So yeah, that was great to see.
Yeah, we were waiting for that chemistry to start to grow with him and Drew Lock, and the injury to Drew Lock earlier in the season prolonged that. But yeah, both of them had a great day. KJ Hamler, 66 receptions on 75 yards. Had a very good day as well. Two keynotes on this one. Tight end Albert O, torn ACL. He will be out for the season. And the other tight end, Noah Fant, got banged up as well. He re-injured his ankle, the ankle that kept him out during week 6. So that's something to watch for. He came in, I think he got injured, came in for like one more play, and he said, no, I can't go. So that's why we saw Alberto in there. And who was it? Nick Van Nett?
He didn't run many routes, Chef. That after that either, he stayed in and blocked on the few plays that he was in the game. He had 3 catches on 3 targets. He didn't do much, but it was the same ankle. It's crazy because he's so athletic that he outruns everyone to the sideline, and he always gets tackled like by a diving defender, and they wrap up the ankle, and he ends up getting hurt because he's just outrunning the linebackers, and it's the secondary guys just diving at his ankles to save it from going all the way because he's like a threat to take it to the house.
Absolutely, 100%. And I thought he was going to take it to the house on that one play where he got into the red zone. I thought he was going to score at least on the next one because of the way it looked. I had parlayed. It was a weird one. I parlayed that Noah Fant would score first with Josh Allen throwing for over 287.5 yards, which he almost did before the half. I was so upset to hear that he went out. I don't actually have Noah Fant in any leagues. I wish I did, but yeah, from a fantasy standpoint, that hurts to see him go down for sure.
Well, keep an eye on it, and maybe Nick Van Nett winds up on that waiver wire hero sheet tomorrow. Just a little foreshadow there.
Jeff, what the waiver wire hero sheet? What is that? Oh, you mean the weekly sheet that we put out for everybody to bolster your fantasy roster and help you win your league? Oh, no problem. So every week we put out on Tuesday the waiver wire heroes. For those of you on YouTube or anybody watching right now, we'll throw it up here for our last week. This is an example of what we did last week. We put the players up there, guys that you could pick up off the waiver wire, guys that maybe you could possibly, spot start in places. We give you the ownership percentage and the projected points. Say I don't want to toot my own horn here, but so far so good. Chef's been doing an incredible job putting this together every week. So look forward to week 10 waiver wire heroes because he's killing it.
Yo, look at that team right there. Tell me that team doesn't beat most of your teams. All those guys got in the end zone. Real quick, Hasty scored a touchdown. Moss scored a touchdown.
I don't know how I'm doing it, dude. I don't know.
Seriously. Ebron scored a touchdown, had a good game. Tim Patrick had a good game. Darnell Mooney had a good game. Curtis Samuel had a monster game. Like, all those guys scored for you, and if you were able to pick them up, it's absolutely incredible.
It's all right there for you.
Stay tuned for it. Go to thetiltisreal.com and check that out Tuesday.
The only one I missed on was putting Carr over Cousins.
Yeah, but you couldn't have known.
That's okay. Listen, you
close enough. At least you got him a streaming option. It wasn't like Carr had a
He was still on the page, though. He was still on the page.
Yeah, he's still on the page.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on because we got a lot of games to cover here.
All right, sure. Yeah, let's move on.
Well, he already mentioned it. Mr. Swanson almost transitioned right real smooth into that next game when he mentioned that he had the parlay with Josh Allen getting over 300 or 280 yards, right? 287. And he certainly did that.
In the first half, man, Josh Allen got it done, man. He's good. He's good.
Or Seattle's defense is really bad.
Listen, Seattle's defense is really bad. But if you look at what I like about Josh Allen is when I know it was against the Seahawks, but what he does is he scores first. He puts the other side. He puts the defense on their heels, puts the other team on their heels early, and that's what I like about Josh Allen. And he did that this game. I think the Bills had a game plan. I think they knew what was about to happen. It's the Seahawks. You know that they're porous on defense. I love what Josh Allen did in this game. If you started him for fantasy, you are super happy. 31 out of 38 for 415, 3 touchdowns. He had 7 carries for 14 yards and a touchdown on the ground. My man can do it all. I'm not saying that he's an MVP caliber quarterback right now. I think it's matchup dependent, but I'm saying he's still in that extra air of bubble conversation to like keep an eye on Josh Allen. He's great. That's all I got to say. Take it over. Bring it home.
I mean, there's not much to say after that.
I love him.
You pretty much read the book on that one.
I love him.
I'm just want to put a little snippet in the air, man. Over 2,900 yards allowed through the air to the quarterback so far this season is the most in the Super Bowl era. They give up 360 yards passing on average to the QB. Like porous isn't even like the word. Like 60 points to the tight end, to the wide receivers. Like that's why you saw Diggs eat. Like they abandoned the run, the Bills, because they said, "Listen, we can just sit back here and sling it," and they can't do anything about it. And that's what it felt like to me yesterday. But
it seemed like they were doing anything they wanted on it. Allen runs the ball in for a touchdown. Zach Moss gets in for a touchdown. Mm-hmm. Gabriel Davis went 4 for 70 and a touchdown. I mean, there was no reason why the Bills didn't win 44-34, but the Seahawks did start to come back later on in the game. But unfortunately, something that we haven't seen Russell do a lot on occasion is turnovers. And he had 4 of them in this game, and that was the deciding factor in this matchup. I don't think it was so much. Well, obviously, shout out to the Bills. They did their thing. They played on all cylinders. Tre'Davious White was all over the place, but containing DK Metcalf, not controlling him and shutting him down by any means, because DK, man, he had a great game. 7 for 108 and a touchdown, 23.8 fantasy points.
I thought it was
didn't beat that.
No, you can't.
You just can't beat him.
The man is unbelievable. He is really starting to rise up.
Yeah.
Superhuman. That's a great way to put it. We talked about how it flip flops right between DK and Lockett. It just kind of goes back and forth. Everybody and their mother, including me and my mom and you, thought that this was going to be a Lockett game. Mm-hmm. I think everybody else is starting to figure out that there's a flip flop, and now they're flip flopping. So now we have to flip flop. So
Lockett,
next week.
Lockett got his targets. It's just that he didn't maximize. You know what I mean? Like, we can't flip flop every week. I think you just can't ever talk about DK as anything except a wide receiver 1 every week. Like, forget it. He's up there now.
I think that's what it is. That's what it is. He's superhuman. That's the best way. I love that. He's here now. Mic drop.
And Chef, you were right about something, man. I thought it was a Cole Beasley day, and it turned out to be Isaiah McKenzie, Gabriel Davis, and John Brown 8 for 99 day. Like, I was wrong, and Beasley wasn't it.
You guys are fading out.
The chef is frozen.
Is
actually,
it me or is it you?
Oh, the chef is frozen.
Yeah, we're both good right now.
You guys are both good. All right. I'll keep it going right now. Yeah. So
I'm good with you.
Yeah. So he didn't end up having Cole Beasley didn't have the day that we hoped he would. He's hard to trust. You know what I mean? But John Brown, he just missed the 100-yard bonus. He was 8 for 99, ended up with 17.9 fantasy points. That's a great day. Gabriel Davis, man. Come on.
Chef's been hyping up Gabriel Davis from the beginning of the season, too, from the offseason.
As he should. 4 for 70 and a touchdown. That's great. You got to love that. Zach Moss ends up out touching Singletary 11-5. Moss is getting in the end zone.
That's the thing I wanted to touch on
Yeah,
with Devin Singletary. Can you even trust him as a RB2 anymore, or is he a spot start flex play at best?
He's a spot start flex play depending on the matchup.
I think you hit it on the head right there, Chef.
You got it right there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's not going places anytime soon, man. I'm not impressed with Singletary at all, and I think you missed your window on trading him as well.
Yeah, Moss is even eating into the passing work and the passing down work, which you thought that it was going to be strictly Singletary, and Moss is eating there, and he's definitely the one they're looking for at the goal line. 2 touchdowns last week, in the end zone again this week. Like, it's starting to look grim for the Singletary stock people out there.
It is. If you're lucky enough to own Zach Moss in a dynasty league. Oh, I own Zach Moss. Oh, never. Yeah. If you're lucky enough to own Zach Moss, I'm getting trade offers all over the place. I'm just keeping that guy. Nah.
I would hold on to him. You muted yourself there, Mr. Swanson.
Nah, Chef muted.
I muted him for tooting his own horn. No, I muted him.
Oh, I will continue to. I'll do you one better. I'll do you one better. I'm hanging on to LaMichael P. Ryan too. What's up?
Oh, please, can we not go there until we have to?
I mean we will get there, but I'm getting trade offers.
Yeah, we don't have to. We don't have to go there yet.
No, but we will. All right, Mark.
I would trade him while you can. Trade him while you can.
I had okay.
Any
well, I'm getting
value.
getting. Yeah, well, I'm getting offered Joe Flacco and I don't know, whatever it was that I was offered for LaMichael P. Ryan. It was disgusting. It was embarrassing. Anyway,
Joe Flacco, I wouldn't touch that. So to get back to this matchup, Seahawks next week play against the LA Rams, an NFC West matchup that we will be looking forward to because it could very well determine if they make the playoffs.
Yeah,
or the Rams making the playoffs. Yeah, it's like a must win for the Rams. So we'll see.
And I'm looking forward to seeing Jalen Ramsey against DK Metcalf, man. Like, that's something I'm excited about.
Moving right along.
That's going to be a fun one to watch for sure. All right, moving along. What we got?
Absolutely.
Bears
versus the Titans. The Titans win 24-17. Let's see. Not too much to talk about on this one. AJ Brown was the big shining light in this. Got a 40-yard deep touchdown down the sideline, outstretched arms for the goal line, kind of highlight reel moment. I'm sure if you turn on the TV today, you saw it. Finishes the day with 4 for 101 and a touchdown, 20.1 fantasy. And he was the key, like I said, he was the key spotlight on the Tennessee it wasn't really a high scoring game, 24-17. Jonnu Smith bailed you out with a touchdown, and Derrick Henry. Oh, terrible. The Bears do one thing right, and that's rush defense.
Yep.
They really do. They know how to stop the run.
Yep. That was a tough one too.
So they did that. I mean, yeah, and they got a little pass rush, and you saw it affect the pass rush because look at Corey Davis. After all the good weeks that he had, he puts up a goose egg for you.
And I told you guys, Kyle Fuller.
That's something to think about as well.
That's the plight of Corey Davis, man. But Kyle Fuller, go ahead, Juan.
He was on one of those tilts yesterday. Right. He was a big tilt question yesterday was Corey Davis. He was involved in a lot of people's options. And I was saying, don't fade him and fade Devontae Parker because they're both going up against really good corners and try to take the home run shot with one of the other options. And Kyle Fuller really did it to you. Like he
only got 3 targets. Like they were staying away. And
a lot of people. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say a lot of folks after what Corey Davis has been doing. Why would you not start him just from objectively? But yeah, it's it proves that the matchups really, really matter.
Yeah, that game was out of hand too. That game wasn't as close as it should have been either. That score at the end, those 2 touchdowns at the end, that was complete garbage time. Vanilla defense, let them come down the field because there's no way they can catch up. And the Bears took advantage, and good for you for fantasy wise because you saw some guys have a little bit of success at least.
Speaking on the other side of the ball,
go ahead. On the Bears side, go ahead.
Is that where you were going?
I mean, the three contributors were Nick Foles, Allen Robinson, and Jimmy Graham. Foles 335, 2 touchdowns. Allen Robinson 7 for 81, and then we saw Jimmy Grandpa get in there 6 on 6 targets, 55 yards and a touchdown.
Hang on a second.
17.5 fantasy points. But one thing to note is Montgomery is in the concussion. David Montgomery, the running back, is in the concussion protocol. He did have 14 carries for 30 yards, dropped the ball in this one. And then we saw Ryan Nall come in and not be relevant much at all. He did have that one touchdown. No carries, just receptions. So that's something to look at. If Montgomery misses, I guess he'll play that Tariq Cohen kind of role.
Chef, do you think
quick
that
question?
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead with your Montgomery question while we're on it. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're talking about Montgomery. I was just wondering do you know if he got that concussion by banging his forehead into the back of the offensive line? Because it felt like he was just banging into his own offensive line the entire game. It feels like it's been happening all season, but 14 for what?
It was 14 for 30.
Yeah, that's not very good. Like
and their offensive line stinks.
They
really
pretty
does.
bad.
Like they're like polar opposites when it comes to offense and defense. This team, and it feels like they're just hoping Nick Foles keeps them alive for whatever they can get out of it. I think their shot of winning a playoff spot is slowly narrowing down. Trade question coming in here from Noah on YouTube.
Oh.
And I know we're doing a recap, and but we'll take the question. Should I trade Justin Jefferson and DJ Moore for Kareem Hunt?
No,
because
Nick Chubb's coming back.
Exactly.
Maybe. And I would not trade both of those players for one RB2. I wouldn't do
RB2. Yeah, no, I
think
those
two players, those two wide receivers there could win you weeks.
Hopefully somebody offered you that. Hopefully you have Hunt and someone offered
I would
you
trade one of them away. I would possibly trade one of them away if I needed a running back.
You should fire back with something like ridiculous and see if he bites, because if you were offered that trade, there's a possibility that person values players differently than you do.
Hunt has rib issues, Chef, that scare me off a little bit. Like that, a team that's going on a bye with the rib issues and Chubb comes back, I think you see a lightened workload for Hunt for at least the next couple of weeks until he gets 100% right, and they'll bring Chubb, that they'll be splitting 50-50 basically for the next couple of weeks. And that scares me off. And like you said, Chef, those two dudes can each win you a week. We've seen Jefferson do it already this year.
And I'm right there with you. And like I said, unless you're only, I would trade one of them away for Hunt, most likely DJ Moore, because Justin Jefferson is his probability of scoring on a weekly basis is going up. DJ Moore, we saw a very, very minuscule outing this week, and we don't know what the future lies for him. But yeah, thanks for your question, Noah. We appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. And,
man. Thank you.
Come check us out, man. We do a couple shows a week. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we will always answer your question to the best of our ability. Always.
We're on Wednesday nights and on Sunday morning on the Tilt.
Also, just if you're still listening, on Sunday, the chef said that the first person to go to thetiltisreal.com and leave a voicemail question for us to play on air, because we've been saying it. No one's done it yet. I have my golf clubs. No one's done it yet. If the first person to leave us a voicemail question gets, what do they get?
No, I said the 100 subscriber to YouTube.
The 100th subscriber to YouTube, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Crud. Okay. All right. So the first person that leaves a voicemail on our thing, I will send me your address. I will send you a box of coffee. I'll send you a K-cup box. I'll send you some coffee. I'll send you some Cafe Bustelo. I'll send it to you so you can stay awake on Sundays. So probably at a big Saturday night, you want to stay awake through the games. It always gets a little hairy between the 1 and 4 p.m. games. So yeah, I'll send you some coffee. And you can put that on wax. I'll do it. One other thing I want to bring up too before we went to that tilt, Jimmy Graham, man. Jimmy Graham, is he a viable tight end start week to week?
No.
Right now? Like, is he no?
I don't know week 2. Yeah, week 2. He's a viable
I mean, is
streaming
he a guy
option.
that you
Streaming option, yeah.
Is he a guy that you keep on your roster, or is he only a spot start? I mean, because do you keep
It
him on your
depends
roster? Or
on
do
who
you
you
drop? I
have.
don't know. Because
I
before
mean,
the
he's
game
ranked right now
yesterday,
tight end 6.
17. I'm looking at something different. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's ranked tight end 6 in the league right now, and he's doing it pretty consistently. His targets since Foles has joined has never gone under 5.
That's
And
a
I
week to week starter, man.
yeah, I mean, it all depends on the production. Like
Well,
sometimes
yeah.
he's good. Like last week against New Orleans, he had 7 targets. He only caught 2 balls for 13 yards. But this week, yeah, he catches all his targets up against a weaker Tennessee defense, and then he faces Minnesota next week. So facing Minnesota next week, yeah, you could spot stream him. I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah, they're
what
giving
is his schedule?
Minnesota's giving up 13.6 points a game to the tight end, so that's a decent start at the tight end position. If you can get 13 points out of your tight end, and you're gonna, that's pretty good.
That wasn't
Minnesota's a whole nother conversation, man. They're on wheels. Okay, let's get into the next one.
Speaking of wheels, let's go to something that has nothing to do with wheels. And
Lamar Jackson got wheels.
No, I'm just kidding. My man does. He does.
He's got wheels.
Sure does.
Well, the wheels on the Gus bus went round and round, and he gets into the end zone this week. Well, the Ravens win 20. 11 carries, only 23 yards, but he gets into the end zone, finishes the day with 8.4 fantasy points. It's pretty much a dud, but he led in the rushing category in this matchup for the Ravens, I believe. Unless Lamar Jackson obviously out.
Yeah, he led it. Yeah.
It's between him and J.K. Dobbins is really the comparison you're trying to make, right?
So
it's
it was between the running backs, and they split. It was almost an even split, and neither one of them passes 10 points. Yeah, and it's kind of scary. From a J.K. Dobbins owner standpoint, it is something that you kind of have to worry about going forward if this offense is going to turn around this season or for dynasty reasons next season. That's something to think about. And it was against the Colts though, so we can say that the Colts had one of the best rushing defenses in the league. But yeah, it was not good on all sides of the ball. No real fantasy winners here.
Yeah, I don't really think you're going to see a clear cuts with that Ravens backfield. I don't really think you're going to have a clear cut number one that you would be able to confidently start fantasy wise until this season is over. So if you are an owner of, if you have the Ravens backfield, you have Mark Ingram. I don't know what you did with him, but the rest of it, I don't know. It's a toss up. It's a toss up for sure. Speaking of things that are tossed up and not caught, I guess, Chef, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you take this because you put it on the show sheet. And go ahead, do it.
Which one?
Hollywood. It's clever. It's a clever thing that you said.
Yeah, we got to take the Hollywood out of his name.
Marquise.
What guy do you know?
Marquise No.
Oh man,
I
didn't. I didn't even realize I did.
Oh, you didn't realize that? Oh,
well, the whole thing was because Marquise he came out on Twitter.
I know. I hate that.
And wait, I'm lagging, guys. I'm lagging.
No, it's okay. Well, no, we'll get through it.
Am I good? Am I coming through good?
You're good. You're good right now, Chef.
You're coming through now. Just to finish. Go ahead.
Oh, I am?
I think you're okay now.
Well, my whole point was putting it up there. And the reason why I put no grease on that was because he came out earlier on Twitter this week and said, yeah, he was the squeaky wheel. Marquise No Grease Brown is a good nickname fill-in. We got to take the Hollywood out of there, man. Because if you're only putting up 6.8 fantasy points and we warned you about Hollywood Brown or Marquise No Grease Brown, and he did not do it this week at all.
This is what bothers me about nicknames in football. Like a guy comes into the league from college, your nickname should drop. There is no reason why you should come into the NFL, the National Football League, the absolute pinnacle of the sport that you've played your entire life, and everybody calls you Danny Dimes,
Johnny Football,
Johnny Football, Danny Dimes, Hollywood Brown. Listen, you should earn the nickname. Your nickname should be etched into your legacy at the professional level. And I think that bugs people. I think as a player, I mean, you come into the league,
Well, I
you have a
mean,
nickname already.
his
I don't know.
past history was good, and he was a nice college prospect, one of the fastest in the
I'm saying,
league.
it's a different
coming out of
animal.
the
I was
combine.
watching college football the other day when I was at work, and everything just looked slow. It just did. And I understand that there's a lot of talent in there that has to be picked through, and that's what the draft is for, and that's how players come out, and that's how it is. But there really is a true difference between college football and NFL football. And if you're going to earn a nickname that sticks forever, you should earn it in the NFL. I'm sorry, this is something I've been thinking about lately.
you're passionate. I like it.
Yeah,
I really am.
You've been thinking about it.
You have.
I have.
It drives
He didn't want to call himself Marquise No Grease when he was coming out of college. It doesn't really turn heads,
but he's about to earn the nickname because everyone's talking about it on the radio, on sports radio. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's the squeaky wheel gets the grease." Well, it just so happens that grease rhymes with Marquise, so you gotta put yourself in a spot there, Hollywood. Yeah. So anyway,
the other side of the ball.
Go ahead, please. I'm sorry, I just had to get that out.
The Colts did not get it done. No one really impressed in this one for the Colts. No one had over 10 fantasy points in the game. The highest scorer being Zach Pascal, 5 for 55. And it was just they couldn't get anything going. I think the worst tackle of the week goes to Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
If you have not seen the clip yet of him getting beat by the guy they intercepted, I think it wasn't Marlon Humphreys because he's out. Who was it? I can't remember. But anyway, number 36. It was number 36 for the Ravens.
He was 36. Yes.
He intercepted the ball and just ran. He jumped right over top of Phillip Rivers after Phillip Rivers just lunged his body to the ground way before the defender got there. And he just hurdled him and just kept running to the end zone. It was great. It was great. It was typical Phillip Rivers with a little added age to it.
A little bit, yeah, a little added age to it. The one question I have for you guys about this game is, what do you do with Jonathan Taylor? I feel like we ask this question every week, but what do you do with Jonathan Taylor? Do you try to package him with someone and trade him now before the trade deadline, or do you hang on to him because maybe the fact that he scores is keeping you in? It makes him a borderline,
I'd hold on to him. I'd hold on to him.
Back 3.
I would hold on to him. I mean, if you could package him for something
of the schedule?
A lot better. Yeah, it's absolutely because of the schedule.
Okay.
And that's what I was getting at. I mean, he plays Tennessee next week, but then he goes into Green Bay, he plays Tennessee. Yeah. Actually, he plays Tennessee twice. He plays Houston twice. Yeah. He plays Green Bay. We saw them give up a bunch of points to Dalvin Cook, and it went to the, so I think he may be on the up and up. The snap share kind of scares me, obviously. And Frank Reich said, well, if he wasn't feeling good, so he didn't, and if he was feeling good, he would have gotten more touches. So if that's the case,
yeah.
Well, he was injured going into this week. He got injured last week in the Browns game. So we kind of expected a down week from him, and going up against one of the top defenses in the league. I mean, you had to kind of expect what was going to happen this week if you put Jonathan Taylor in your starting roster.
Some of us don't have a choice. Some of us don't have a choice.
Not this year, man. Dropping like flies. At least.
That's me.
Speaking of dropping like flies, we can move right into our next one.
Let's do it.
The Chiefs win over the Panthers 33-31 with a last minute missed 67-yard field goal by Joey Sly in the last minutes of the game. Goes wide right.
In the Hall of Fame. Missed it.
I mean, I can't believe they even let him kick it. I guess they really didn't have a choice at that point.
With the weather,
I would have trusted the Hail Mary maybe more than a 67-yarder. What do you think, Juan?
Yeah, the kick wasn't even close. It was just a desperation move. They really couldn't throw a Hail Mary from that spot probably, and it was, less likely. So they tried to go for it. I mean, he had a lot of leg on it. Like, it might have been close if it was straight, but it wasn't even close. He put too much power into it and missed it wide right.
There was a lot of wind in that game too, correct? I remember looking at the top of the pylons and the wind going. I remember seeing it went wide right, but I mean it went wide right.
Well,
But you know, sometimes when we're playing golf and it's windy, and we already know that we shank everything anyway,
some wind there.
We aim that way.
It's definitely some wind there, but
look, it's a 67-yard field goal at the end of the day. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a 67-yarder.
Come on, that's a Hall of Fame
the
kick.
Desperation play, like Juan said. But the Panthers were in this game for most of this game, and CMC, he's finally back. 18 carries for 69 yards and a touchdown. Also 10 for 10 through the air on 82 yards. Another touchdown. He showed up. 37.1 fantasy points. Quick note on CMC, he did get injured. He injured his shoulder in this one, and the initial report was that he misses next week. And then the later report today came out around I think it was like 4:30, 5 o'clock, saying that he was day to day. So it's not as bad as we may think. He may not miss an elongated period of time, which is hopeful for those Christian McCaffrey owners.
Hopefully you held on to Mike Davis, whoever you are out there. Maybe you were lucky enough and smart enough to draft Mike Davis towards the back to handcuff him with your 101 or 101, which everybody should have if you drafted Christian McCaffrey. But hopefully you held on to him. It's going to be important.
Yeah, so there's points on both sides of the ball here.
Yeah.
Juan, why don't you go ahead and talk about your man, Mr. Patrick Mahomes, for a little bit? Get through that. He had another record-breaking day. Great showing.
Oh, sorry, that was the baby banging on the window. Yeah, he absolutely did. And when Mr. Swanson, when you said about the wind being a factor and all that, it didn't bother Patrick Mahomes because he was 30 for 45 and he absolutely lit it up.
He's Patrick Mahomes,
right? And he does Patrick Mahomes things. And Teddy B,
the wind stops for him.
Yeah, the Teddy B threw for over 300 as well. So it's kind of one of those old school shootouts. And you guys quietly, do we know that Tyreek Hill has 10 touchdowns? On the year. You know what I mean? Did you get the quietest 10 touchdowns you've ever heard of in your life?
I did not know that.
Right. So they're clicking on all cylinders, and they're making people look silly, and they kind of do whatever they want on offense. It's almost not fair. That move that he had down at the goal line where he faked like he's talking to Kelsey, and then he starts in motion because now they didn't know that your quarterback can be in motion. So he motions like he's going on a bootleg to the left, catches it, spins himself around, and goes back to the right-hand side and finds Demarcus Robinson in the back of the end zone. He was too open. It was too easy. And they're just playing around with people. That's the only way you can get them is they always kind of they're lulled to sleep. They're like, okay, we'll turn it on when we need to. We'll turn it on when we need to. If you can hold on and stay ahead of them like the Raiders did or like the Chargers almost did earlier in the year, that's the recipe, I think, to be able to beat them. Like a Josh Allen, Mr. Swanson, like you said, getting out in front and getting the first couple of touchdowns. Maybe they can control it later, but they look unstoppable.
That didn't work against them, though.
Do you guys think real quick
Kansas City wound up beating them, too.
Before we move to the Panthers side of the ball, do you guys think that running backs in Kansas City are – you'd think that they're supposed to be they're on a high-powered offense, but Patrick Mahomes throws the ball with it's amazing the way that he does it. So it's the entire thing is through the air. Do you think that the running backs in Kansas City, if you drafted them, they're not really going to get you what you think they're going to get you, fantasy-wise?
I think if you're referring to Clyde Edwards-Helaire in this matchup, Carolina's defense is strong, man. They showed up. They showed up today. They played ball. They gave it Mahomes everything they could. And fortunately for Mahomes and the Chiefs, Mahomes was able to get it done through the air, and we didn't need to see the running backs carry the ball too much. But yeah, it's a little disturbing with the production you got out of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He only saved you with a touchdown. And then Lev Bell, man,
yeah.
Go ahead. I'll say it now. I don't want him on my teams, on any of my fantasy teams.
No, you said it right there. I don't either.
I don't want him.
I own CEH, so I have him as a security blanket, like I have him as a handcuff. But when they're ripping off chunks and every play is 20, 25 yards, 18 yards, 15 yards, it's just there's less plays to go around. So you depend on the touchdown or you depend on the spot starts in a game against like the Bills when they took the Bills to task and Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 164 yards rushing. So it depends on the matchup going forward with them. But yeah, it scares you off of CH a little bit, Mr. Swanson, to come back around to it.
Yeah, I mean the entire Chiefs scare you off from a fantasy standpoint because there are so many mouths to feed and there are so many talented players and there's such a talented quarterback that it's almost you cannot discern between players. You can't discern who's going to have it week to week, whether it's going to be an air raid, whether it's going to be a ground assault. You really can't figure it out. You can. The whole thing is playing the matchups with the Chiefs. You can't just trust that it's Devontae Adams. Oh, he's going to be open 6 yards away from any other cornerback. You know what I mean? Devontae Adams will always be open. He's matchup proof. But with the Chiefs, you can't really tell where it's going to go. From a football standpoint, that's incredible. That's amazing.
But it'll give you a
they're
headache.
They're definitely on a
fantasy,
push. Yeah, they're definitely on a push.
Fantasy, that's a nightmare. But if you have Tyreek Hill, great job. Great job. On the Panther side of the ball, I mean, we touched on CMC.
Teddy B did a great. Yeah, Teddy B did a great job.
Yep.
I'm happy with the outcome of
agree.
Teddy Bridgewater this week, going up against the Chiefs. Finished the day with 28.3 fantasy points, threw for over 310 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then if you guys go back, my man like straight somersaulted over a player yesterday. So I think
I did see that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The highlight reel for that was awesome. And he spreads the ball around. He's spreading the ball around and he hits Curtis Samuel and Robbie Anderson early and often. They each had 9 receptions. Yep. But one that didn't get the ball too much was DJ Moore, man. Yeah, and that puts up a little light on for me with DJ Moore. Like and the trade question earlier was like, oh, you know, do you trade DJ Moore? I think he comes back around, especially if Christian McCaffrey's not on the field.
Yeah, either way, I think he comes back around. I'm still holding out hope. I like the talent of DJ Moore and the involvement. Like it changes week to week, and sometimes it's Robbie Anderson. Curtis Samuel's been emerging, and as of late, he's been a star. But you didn't see that usage in the beginning of the season, and we all jumped ship on Curtis Samuel, and now look, he's the one. So if you jump ship on DJ Moore, you run the risk of him putting a streak of 3 or 4 games together.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, just a reminder for the Carolina Panthers owners, by week 13. Which is big,
deep,
you know, so you only have really 3, 10, 11, 12, doing quick math here, 3 more weeks of production.
I was told there would be no man.
Yeah, there it is. 3 more fantasy relevant weeks out of your Panthers before you make it to the playoffs. And if you listen to the show, I'm pretty sure you're making it to the playoffs. But yeah, that's something to take into consideration with those Panthers owners, or managers. Wherever you want to
managers, owners.
Let's move on to the next game,
let's
gentlemen.
Move on. Let's do it. We're going to the Lions and
Chef likes this one.
Kings. I know. I'm going to let him take this. I'm going to let you take this. I have to step out for 1 second, so I'll be back in 30 seconds, not 30 minutes.
All right.
And Chef, Lions Vikings, man, take it away.
Speaking of 30, I like that. The Vikings win 30-24 in this one. Dalvin Cook, for the second week in a row, Juan, he just crushed it. He absolutely crushed it. 22 carries, career day, 206 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 2 receptions for 46 yards. Is there anything this guy can't do this year?
Nah, he's on one of those record-setting paces right now, Chef. And only Jim Brown and Deuce McAllister have put together the 2 back-to-back games the way he just put them back-to-back, with going over 200 and multiple touchdowns. Yeah, and he's also got 12 touchdowns already, Chef, and he's played 7 full games, and in those 7 full games, he scored more than multiple touchdowns in 4 of them. So he's likely to not just get in one time. He's almost getting in there twice a game. So he could be up there pushing for that like 20 touchdown, I'm in the MVP conversation kind of season. That's the way he's headed as of right now.
I believe he is still number 2. Let's see here. I want to check this out. Oh, why isn't it letting me do it?
If he's number 2, I'd like to
I think
know
he
who's
still
number
might
1,
be
man.
number 2 on the year. Kamara might be number 1 on the year.
Right.
Let's see.
Yeah,
here.
but
I'm gonna
12
check these
touchdowns,
out real
12
fast.
touchdowns in 7 games played is pretty impressive, and it's a pretty good rate to have. And it looks like he's going to get to 20 touchdowns, which is pretty rare to have happen. He's on one of those paces.
Yeah, I want to see if I can.
But the whole
get
team, I feel like in general, Chef,
get
is on
a
the comeback.
read on this.
You know, they're on the way back, like they're on the way up, and they didn't have to throw it yesterday, so you didn't see a lot out of Cousins, and it was a kind of a light game, but he did throw the touchdowns when he needed to, and we saw for the first time the emergence of Irv Smith, who we hyped up all off season 2, and we thought he was going to be a bigger deal than he has been, and he found the end zone twice this week.
Yeah, two short little passes, for 10 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Kirk Cousins actually was able to spread the ball around a little bit in this one. So, they did their thing 2 weeks in a row. Vikings are on the climb, and they face the Bears next week. They have a tough matchup there, but it looks good for Dalvin Cook. I would downgrade him a little bit against the Bears defense after we saw what they did to Derrick Henry, but Dalvin Cook gets the receiving work too, so he could still be definitely an RB1 for the week.
Dalvin Cook has 6. I'm sorry, I was waiting for about a minute, and I'm sure you guys already talked about this, but Dalvin Cook has 6 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was just telling the chef earlier that he's got
matchups be damned. That man is a difference maker. It is insane. It is incredible to watch him play football. It is so much fun to watch Dalvin Cook play football. If you drafted him in your fantasy league, you are so happy. You are so happy to have him back. Wow. I mean, wow. He was playing against me, and I wasn't even mad just because I was watching the way that man plays football, and it's nuts. Sorry. I've had a passionate son.
You were gone for a little bit, but yeah, I threw out some numbers about him having 4 multiple touchdown games already and having 12 touchdowns on the season.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he scored in every game that he's played in too. So I mean, he's going to score every week. I just don't know. The Bears is a really good test, though. This will be a really good the eyeball test. Let's see what happens. This is a litmus to see how is he going to be historic or is it just going to be a nice little season. We'll see with this game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm sorry, I was away for a moment. Have we touched on the Lions side of the ball? I'm sorry.
I was just about to do it.
The chef was about to go there right
now. Get it? Because it's Lions? Good.
The Lion Kings. I get it.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. Stafford had a rough week this week, and he comes off the COVID protocol, testing negative all the way through, and then plays part of this game and then gets taken out due to a concussion. Finished 23 for 211 and 2 touchdowns. Only finished the day with 10 fantasy points. But he cleared concussion protocol today, so he's good to go for next week. Hopefully he can get a full week of practice in because, man, they need it. They're going to need him to keep going. One bright light in this offense was TJ Hawkinson, my man.
Yeah.
Hawk.
I love it.
He is crushing it.
Yep.
Tight end number 3 on the season right now. It's his 3rd week with double-digit fantasy points.
Yep.
I'm loving what I'm seeing from Hawkinson, and with Galladay being injured, it only helps his cause.
It does.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much it. Lions next week go up against the Washington football team, so look for them to rebound on their fantasy stats. Especially for not a rebound for Hawkinson. Hawkinson might add to that. We saw with Evan Ingram did, and that's a perfect segue to the next games. The Giants win over Washington 23-20.
Congratulations,
Evan Ingram on the day, 15.8 fantasy points. Thanks. I switched the jersey back if you guys didn't notice. 3rd week with at least 9 targets. He is crushing it.
Yep. He's doing what you drafted him.
The targets for Evan Ingram is what really counts because he can't do it off of 4 or 5 targets a game. He just can't, and he hasn't. But when he's gotten not at least 9 targets in the past 3 games, he's come through with at least double-digit fantasy points for you. So as long as that trend continues, they're facing in the right direction for once with the Giants. Like I said, winning this one 23-20, going up against the Eagles next week. I really don't want to talk. I don't think we need to talk about the rest of that. Well, one bright spot.
We'll talk about that. We'll get to
Daniel
that.
Jones didn't turn over the ball.
There you go. That's a bright spot.
Yeah, that's a bright spot. That's a bright spot. And they pulled a win out against a team that was pretty tough. But on the other side, I think the reason why they lost was because I don't know. I think the Giants did good. They're on a roll now. They played Tampa good. They played Washington good.
You played the Eagles.
And then there was some big news on the other side of the ball. And you want to talk about that a little bit?
I think it's a curse. I think there's some
yeah, we did
something happened underneath the stadium or something. There must be an ankle. I don't know. Somebody left an ankle down there. It hurts.
It's rough on that field, on that team, and seeing them go out and the quarterbacks. But now Alex Smith, who suffered that same injury, he came back and he had a monster day. So that was good to see. And the Giants were playing a little vanilla, and they were let them kind of creep back in from behind. But Alex Smith took advantage, and 325 yards and a touchdown isn't anything to sneeze at. He did throw a few picks, but that comes with rust, and I think that starts to clear out a little bit, and he might actually be a decent play next week against the Lions. Like
100, yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I was going to say next week Alex Smith is a great streaming option, because I guarantee you Alex Smith is on the waiver wire in plenty of leagues. Probably none of ours, because everybody's a savage and probably picked him up week 1 when they saw him at a Piggly Wiggly picking up milk. Now he's walking fine. I'm going to pick him up. I'm going to stash him. Yeah, no problem. Oh, what do you want for him?
Well, in Superflex leagues, yeah, people. As soon as Haskins went out, Alex Smith got picked up. That's how it goes.
Nobody should have drafted Dwayne Haskins. Let's just make that clear right now. No one should have drafted. The Redskins shouldn't have drafted Dwayne Haskins. But let's move on a little bit to a guy. Yeah, that's what they're thinking. But let's move on to a guy who he will probably come into his own. Your fantasy week was saved by a touchdown, Antonio Gibson. How do you guys feel about going forward? How do you feel about Antonio Gibson?
Real quick, before the chef answers that real quick, I just want to say, he got saved by a touchdown. CEH saved you with a touchdown. Like Evan Ingram's line is meh unless he gets in the end zone, and he did. Hawkinson, that's not a great line, but he got in the end zone. So it's like touchdown dependency. Like getting these matchups right is key going down the stretch, and like trying to figure out who the guy is in the offense. And what Chef said about Evan Ingram, volume and carries, opportunities king, and we were seeing it come to fruition. If you get the chances, you'll end up putting the points, and you'll get the chances in the red zone, and you'll end up scoring.
Great point.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. He's on the field. He's a low end RB2 right now with upside. That's how I view Gibson. That's how I'm looking at McKissick from now on, as long as he's getting these receptions.
Right.
9 for 65 through the air, and that's how you get it done for a running back. And then the big guy who is a automatic start, Terry McLaurin. I think Alex Smith helps Terry McLaurin. 7 receptions, 115 yards, and a touchdown. We saw him 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter with the 68-yard touchdown bomb down the side. He was doing a crossing route. He just came out of that crossing route so smooth, left the defender in the distance and just booked it. Yeah, shout out to Terry McLaurin. He is an auto start, and I think he is right now wide receiver 11 on the season. So watch out. My hot takes coming through. Let's go.
Ooh, that's hot.
I think Alex Smith helps him stay there, Chef. I think he ends up top 10 for sure this year. Alex Smith will help him go a long way.
I couldn't agree more, my friend. I could not agree more.
All right.
Let's talk about some Jaguars.
Let's talk about some Jaguars. Closer than we thought this game. Texans win 27-25. Woof. Man. Speak on it. Chef, speak on it. What do you got? What do you got on the Texans side?
On the Texans side of the ball, I mean, there's really not too much to talk about here. David Johnson left with a concussion. Yep. So we saw Duke Johnson come in for 16 carries, 41 yards, and a touchdown. He finished the day with 14.3 fantasy points. Fuller was your one real bright spot in the receiving side of things. I guess no, Fuller and Cooks, and we called that earlier.
We did
yesterday. So both of them had a really nice days. Fuller with 21 fantasy points, Cooks with 17.3. Watson finishes the day. I'm not sure on the ratings. I'm sure he's inside the top 10. Finished with 23.2 fantasy points. But the one thing everybody's talking about in this game is Jake Luton on the Jaguars side of the ball.
How can you not? Yep.
And the matchup that he has with DJ Chark.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good connection, and it's nice to see DJ Chark finally making a splash and getting back out there healthy, and that long touchdown was really, really great. And, I mean, over 20 yards per catch and a touchdown. He had a monster day. I didn't expect James Robinson to continue to have this kind of success, and he missed the 100-yard bonus by 1 yard. And I wasn't expecting that, but I was saying, like, still, I'm a firm believer in sell James Robinson while the hand is hot and while you have the arrow pointing in the right direction, because he's going to have a bit of a tough schedule going down the stretch later on in the season. And you like to see what Luton did. He came out and did well, but the biggest thing out of the Houston side, I didn't get to say what David Johnson going out changed the offense. Play action stopped working. Duke Johnson was relatively ineffective. He fumbled the ball. So, like, they're going to miss David Johnson, and whether or not he clears that concussion protocol going forward is going to be huge for that team.
Yeah. You couldn't have said it. I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah, man, 100%.
That's
going to be
and I did notice that during the game.
It changed everything.
Yeah, that's going to be a big piece. Oof.
Let's move right on to the next one, guys.
Raiders
versus Chargers.
I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you what. It felt good. It felt good to come out with the win. We went out. We played like we're supposed to play. We played the guys. And man, these games are tough. They're tough, man.
They almost lost this one, to be honest.
I know.
I mean,
know.
Knock on wood if you're with me, because they almost lost this one. They squeaked by with 31-26, and it was a missed touchdown in the end zone by Mike Williams on one play where Mike Williams got hurt, and then the backup tight end Parham.
Hold up.
It looked like a catch to me, but he dropped it. He dropped it.
That was a touch. No, that was a touch.
We still don't know what a catch is. All these years later, after that Des Bryant play in Green Bay, we still don't know what a touchdown is.
When that was replacement rep, that was a touchdown. That was a touchdown. I cannot believe fantasy implications aside, I was sitting next to the guy who has Mike Williams, who I'm playing against this week. Shout out to Hopper. Thought that was a touchdown. Should have been a touchdown.
They're gonna call it how they're gonna call it, though.
That was pretty crazy.
Now, unbelievable. Should have been a touchdown. But yeah. Wow.
Juan, I'm gonna throw a question to you, Juan, real fast on the Raiders side of the ball. Josh Jacobs, 14 carries in this one, 65 yards and a touchdown. He's running back 10 thus far this week, but what do you chalk up to the fact that he had only 14 carries in this game and compared to last week where he had over 30?
Lightening the workload, probably load management. He was questionable all weekend, and he was had an illness and a knee that they were nursing a little bit, and it was a case of missed opportunity, Chef. Because if he hits 16 carries on the season, he gets over 71 yards. So he's killing it. If he gets those extra 2 carries, it's like the magic number. And you saw Booker put up a nice little stat line, but on limited touches, he had 6 touches, but they were the right 6 touches. They were the plays where they called something that gashed the defense, and they were able to exploit it. If he gets involved in any one of those carries, he ends up having a monster day. So it's just a case of the game and load management. I wouldn't read too much into that performance from Jacobs going forward.
Okay. All right, cool. I was like, hey, do we start to get nervous with Booker having 8 carries?
8 carries,
out of the 22.
It's limited.
On that same side of with that same situation, do you start to get a little nervous with Ruggs? With Aguilar getting some work all of a sudden? And he doesn't look bad. Listen, I know that
Aguilar looks great. He does.
Aguilar looks
great. Like the one on that team right now. Edwards may have something to say about that when he gets back. And Ruggs is going to be kind of a hit or miss, boom or bust. He might be entering that Hollywood Brown speedster territory that Chef was talking about. Like, you just don't know when you can start him.
Could be. Apparently, Nelson Aguilar is a talented receiver when he's playing anywhere else but Philadelphia.
I think Aguilar is definitely.
Definitely what?
I knew you. I was waiting for that comment. I think he's carved himself out a role in this offense going forward, even with Edwards on the field.
Yeah, I think he's
I don't
done
get that
enough
reference.
with Edward. So last year after an
Nelson
Eagles
Aguilar.
game where Nelson Aguilar dropped a number of passes and was just a general a-hole, there was a real fire in Philadelphia, and then the news interviewed a guy who was helping literally saving children out of a
Catching
building,
babies. He caught a
catching
baby.
babies.
Yes.
And the guy was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, we're out here catching babies. Unlike Nelson Aguilar." Right after
Yeah,
the Eagles
on
lost,
the
he
news.
like
That was
threw it
his
in there
news quote.
on the
Yeah.
news.
Yeah.
That was the take. Unbelievable,
Oh,
man.
boy.
But that's Philly for you.
Well,
man.
he's
That's Philly.
catching passes now from Derek
He-
Carr, so
He is catching passes.
I can't
Darren
knock him
Waller
too much.
is also catching patches. He went 5 for 10 for 22 yards and a touchdown. Finished with 13.2 fantasy points. Darren Waller just continues to do it for you at the tight end position. You gotta love that. Let's jump to the Chargers. Next week they're playing the Dolphins. How do you guys feel about them in this game against the Raiders? Nothing, huh? No problem.
No, listen,
So-
dude,
okay.
You got to give him a second. I think the chef might be like on a 3-second delay, and every time I like want to start talking too, I feel like you're just, you know what I mean? I can't.
Oh, is that a thing?
I don't
I'm
know.
not on delay. I was letting Juan talk.
Oh, I
Oh.
just don't like that air.
We're not. I'm not on a delay.
I'm just-
I'm not on a delay.
All
I'm
right.
here. I'm
Okay.
here, guys.
All right.
Well, how do we feel about the
All right,
Chargers?
I'm here.
You said how do we feel about the Chargers? We feel
Yeah,
like like Herbert's fantastic. Like he should be doing. They should be winning some of these games
Yeah.
instead of losing every game.
It's a heartbreaker. Everything Herbert's doing next year, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a different thing for Herbert. I think he's just going to really, really come into his own. He's doing so well. Go.
I think we forget.
Gimme.
That with the Chargers, they feel like they're almost one piece away from winning all these games. And Austin Eckler is out right now. When Austin Eckler comes back, that offense is just going to keep getting better. Keenan Allen he's running the house, over 10 targets a game. Mike Williams is starting to come. That chemistry with him and Herbert on the deep balls, that's coming alive. And then we saw Justin Jackson go out on like the first play of the game this week with a what was it? A concussion or a knee? It was a knee. There's so many concussions this week. Sorry. It was a knee injury. And then we saw Kalen Balazs come in and just take up all that work. Unfortunately for Josh Kelly, he just not only 9 carries, but he did get some receiving work, which was different. I didn't expect to see Kelly getting some receiving work, but
You got
Kalen Balazs, he might.
Points. Yeah. I'm sorry to cut you off.
I think you might. Yeah, you might want to see Kalen Balazs. Depending on Justin Jackson's status, he might show up on that waiver wire sheet. Yeah.
You know why
He
Caleb
might.
Balazs didn't get the passing work, Chef? Because he has bricks for hands and he can't catch a damn thing.
Nice
and I'm
hands, feet.
shocked. Like that was one of the other night when Alfred Morris showed up for the Giants against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I was surprised. But to see Kalen Balazs show up yesterday, like where did Kalen Balazs come from, dude?
Where are these names coming from, man?
They activated him off the practice squad day of game.
Lot
Day
of
of
crazy.
game.
Speaking of people being activated off practice squads that are ancient, day of game. Do you have anything else before on this game?
No, go
Cool.
ahead.
Steelers
roll right into
versus
it.
Cowboys. Des Bryant was the name that I was kind of like going back and forth because he was the with the Cowboys for a long time. But moving right to Steelers and Cowboys, Steelers hang on, and I mean hang on. This was not a fun game to watch. If you parlayed the Steelers like you should have, goodness.
Yeah.
What happened?
It was.
What
It wasn't
do you
what you
guys take from
expected.
this? Exactly. What do you take from this? Was it more Cowboys or was it less of the Steelers that brought this game to be so close?
Yeah, I think the Steelers were going to sleepwalk through this. I think the Steelers were going to make every attempt to just get in there and get a win and get out. And they weren't expecting the Cowboys to put up a little bit of a fight in the beginning.
No.
And they weren't able to get the ground game going, which was weird. I thought it was going to be a huge James Conner day. And they weren't able to establish
Everyone
that
did.
going. They were
Everyone
sleeping.
did.
And you know what, though? The Steelers were sleeping last week, too, a little bit against the Ravens. And until they went to like the free flow, no huddle, hurry up kind of offense and just kind of running up, calling plays at the line of scrimmage, that's when they started having success. So I think going forward, they need to really look at themselves and see
They
if that's
need
what
to.
they should be doing.
You're an 8-0 team. You can't be sleeping on anything. You are an 8-0 team. You cannot take the foot off the gas. I don't care who you're playing. I don't care who you're playing.
They just played a big game against the Ravens, and that was an emotional game for them, and it was a big game for them to win. And
that should have been the fire. Keep it going. Roll over the next team. Roll over the Cowboys, and just.
I think it also has something to do with on the other side of that. I think it had something to do with the Cowboys putting in Garrett Gilbert. I mean, he's obviously better than Ben DiNucci.
Oh, for sure.
Better. Way better.
He had the same team. He had
way better.
Nothing changed with the team.
Nothing changed.
And he had he's played ball before. What did he come? He's played professional ball. He's been on a couple different teams. And I think Gilbert was good. We'll see what happens going forward. I mean, it's not like he's not really fantasy relevant, but if you're asking why the Steelers, showed a little poise on winning this, I think it had to do with the fact that Gilbert commanded the troops a little bit better, and the Steelers weren't expecting it, like Juan said.
Yeah, they definitely didn't feel like they were ready, and he took advantage of what the weaknesses are on the Steelers. And if Amari Cooper goes 5 for 67 and Lamb goes 4 for 71, and they had other shots that they did miss, and Gallup caught a few balls as well. So they took advantage of the fact that if you're going to expose the Steelers, attack their corners. That's the only way to beat them. You're not going to attack them down the middle. You're not going to beat their safeties, and you're probably not going to run the ball efficiently, which we saw that it wasn't a very efficient game from Zeke. So they beat them on the outside, and they gave themselves a fighting chance. But they shouldn't have been in that game at the end either, because if you kick the field goal, you go up by 8, and all they can do is tie, and the game's over. Like, all that drama was unnecessary. You're on the 17-yard line, kick the freaking field goal.
Oh, my God, man. Kick the field goal.
Go up by 8. You know what I mean? I'm not quite,
on a fantasy.
Why would you from?
Go ahead, Chef.
Go ahead. Yeah.
On a fantasy side of things, Juan, we hit the nail on the head. We said trust all 3 wide receivers on the Steelers side of the ball, and they all showed up. 10 targets for both Claypool and Deontay Johnson. Each got more than 14 fantasy points. Juju, the winner here on the day with 21.3 fantasy points. How do you feel about Juju Smith-Schuster going forward?
It's a crapshoot.
No, it's not actually not a crapshoot.
Is he in that wide receiver 2 conversation on a weekly basis?
Well, he has been 100%. And listen, coming into this game, people weren't paying attention, but he was 4th in the NFL in red zone targets. So Ben likes to look for him down near the goal line, and he's his security blanket. When the game gets tough and he needs a first down, he's going after Juju. And all of them, like we said, they're all fantasy relevant, because every game that Deontay Johnson's played the entire game, he's had double-digit targets. And Claypool, like, if it wasn't for pass interference, Claypool might have had a couple touchdowns. Like, there were a couple plays down the field where Ben just missed them, and you see him starting to build that chemistry. And it could be one of those teams that you won't know who it is every week, but you're going to get burnt by those wide receivers week in and week out.
I could see you being burned by those wide receivers.
Sounds about right.
Those wide receivers week in and week out. I don't know. With Deontay Johnson being injury prone, that definitely gives Juju an uptick a little bit. On the other side of the ball, I guess we talked about it. Zeke, disappointing game. If you got the news before the game started, I picked up Tony Pollard when I got the news early on that Zeke might not be playing. They mirrored each other, basically. They were a fantasy point away. Zeke finished with maybe 1 point. I think it was 1.2 fantasy points ahead of Tony Pollard in PPR. The guy who did it was CeeDee Lamb this week through the air. 4 for 71 with a touchdown. 1 fumble brought him back to 14.1 fantasy points. He really didn't get a lot from Michael Gallup. Cooper kind of did what he did as the big man. 5 for 67 for 12.5. They got a bye next week. I don't know. What do you do with that? What do you do with a guy like this? What do you do with a team like this?
You try to sell all their players.
What are you gonna do? Do you begin to start Garrett Gilbert?
No, Dalton's going to be the quarterback when he comes back. No question.
No. You're not playing Garrett Gilbert in fantasy football. No.
But what happens if Andy Dalton doesn't?
I don't really have too much else to say about this game.
He's coming back. Andy Dalton's coming back.
You still don't start Garrett Gilbert.
Yeah. You know what quarterback you do start? You start Tua.
Okay.
A little homer.
Let's do it.
Oh yeah.
Why is that? Dolphins,
a little
Cardinals.
homer luck. Hey,
Fins win 34-31. Fins up. I love it. Juan, I'm going to send this right to you.
Sounds like you're jumping on that bandwagon.
I believe what Juan tells me. Folks that are listening to the podcast, I listen to every one of these guys, and they all have great things to say about everything. And since the beginning, before the season, sorry, that was loud on my mic, in July, and Juan's been a Dolphins fan for the longest time, and he understands the plight, and he knows when his team's bad, and he knows when his team's good, and he can see things that other people can't because they just see the Dolphins and they say no. Juan has said some things about the Dolphins way before this season started, and I am so happy to see these things come to fruition. Man, it must feel good. Take it away.
It feels fantastic. I'm not crowning anyone. I'm not taking any victory laps. I will say that the defense is real, and we have proven that. We've caused turnovers in 21 straight games. Like, we have taken the ball away from people, and we give our other teams, we give the other side of the ball a chance. And as long as we're not making mistakes, the quarterback's going to keep you in it. And I saw 20 for 28, and I saw a left-handed young Drew Brees. I'm not going crazy here. This is what I see. And he's kind of like Russ Brees hybrid. That's the ceiling that we're talking about. So people were tanking for Tua a year ago. A year ago right now, people were actively trying to say that people were tanking for Tua. And then he slides to us. Like, I'm beyond happy. I know the future is bright, and the offense looks really good, and our defense is real. And now he gets to face Herbert next week. I'm really excited for that game, him against the Chargers next week.
Yeah, me too.
That's going to be a great game.
Yeah,
that's going to be a great game. I can't wait to watch that. And it looks like, they do have a shot. I think they do have a shot to make the playoffs.
Hey, we're 5-3. We
talking about it earlier, and
got to face the Chargers. We got to play the Bengals. We get the Jets again. We lost to the Bills by 3. New England is a shadow of their former selves. Like, it's not unrealistic that the Dolphins make the playoffs. We're going to push at least. We're 5-3 now. So I'm just saying 9 wins isn't out of the realm of possibility. That's easy, maybe 10. And if we get 10 wins, nobody wants it in the playoffs. In a one-game playoff against us, you don't want to play that defense.
I love it, man.
You saw what happened to the Rams.
For everybody who I said that this was going to happen yesterday, and I was afraid of it. Devontae Parker finishes for 6 for 64 for 12.4 fantasy points in PPR.
It's not a great outing, though. Like, it wasn't anything.
He wasn't even first on his team.
Not a great outing, but not also, not as bad as we thought it was going to be. So hopefully you didn't.
I think the only reason why he got more work later on in the game was because Preston Williams hurt himself after that touchdown celebration that he got. He was excited. I watched it live. Yeah, it was
against the touchdown celebrations. They got to figure something out. As athletes, you got to figure something out.
It wasn't anything. It wasn't anything like he kicked the goalpost or anything like that.
But even like Cody Bellinger. Was it Bellinger?
And it looks like he'll be fine.
Who it was. I forget who it was for
it was Bellinger. He dislocated his shoulder during the World Series. But, Chef, Devontae Parker was able to have that success, Chef, because, like you said, once Preston Williams went out, he went over to the left side and got a couple catches. So he padded the stats a little bit. But he was pretty much shut down for most of the day. So, I don't think that was a bad call.
You're right. You're right. That
feels like Preston Williams is his Tua's guy right now.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it seems that way, and it's trending that way.
Yeah.
Not too much going on in the running game. We don't have to talk about that running game. No. We don't really have to talk about the running game in this game in the Cardinals.
Yes, we do.
Either
Kyler Murray
against that D line, no. Like
Kyler.
That's that part. Yeah,
he's really good, dude. Like,
he looks explosive, man. When you really see him get into space, man, he's like faster than Dalvin Cook, or just as fast.
Do you think he's getting more rushing work since Kenyon Drake has been injured?
Yeah.
Yes.
You think that was part of the addition of it? Because he's been getting about 40 yards to 50 yards a game, but to hit that century mark up against a tough defense like Miami Dolphins, it seems that way. It seems that Chase Edmonds, he tried his best, but it didn't work out as we all thought it would.
Yeah, traditional running.
I think that's a great move by Kingsbury. Yeah, I think that's a great move by Kingsbury to realize that your main guy's out, so you can still get it done on the ground. And why would we not get it done with a guy who has that crazy wheels?
Yeah, you're running the ball inside all game long, and it's all clogged up. And he did a lot of design runs to the outside, like the one that he scored the touchdown on. That was a design bootleg run to the left hand side, like he was just going to run it to the left. It's almost like power offense with the quarterback, like Cam will do tonight in the game against the Jets.
Speaking of which, let's do it. Are we doing it? Are we doing it? Are we going back?
No. Yeah, I think we can do it because we can talk about it because we can skip the.
No. Actually, you know what? No, let's not skip that. Before we go on, Chef James, do you guys have anything else for the Cardinal side of the ball on that game? Do it.
No,
bring it to me.
You just want to not. I want to know Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk had a heck of a day, and Juan called that one. So shout out to Juan for calling that. 5 for 123 and a touchdown. Finished 23 fantasy.
Great call.
Indeed, thank you.
And I jumped the gun a little bit here, so we'll move on to the Sunday night game. Wow,
it was a hurricane.
Wow.
Yeah, the Hurricane Saints.
Hurricane Saints.
Hurricane.
Hurricane Saints. I have not seen
Hurricane breeze. It was breezy in there. It was a little breezy in Tampa.
Is that why Brady threw 3 interceptions?
Oh, that's so good.
It was breezy.
Oh, that's good, man. That wasn't even on the show sheet. That was
I mean, Breeze came out.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's on the rip, dude.
I love that.
26 for 222, 4 touchdowns. He crushed it. And then the rest of the team didn't really have to do much. He spread the ball around to, I think, 8 different receivers. We saw Troutman and Josh Hill both scored touchdowns. And then on the other side of the ball, Brady, where was Brady? It was his worst game. I don't know the stats. All I know is he hadn't thrown an interception for over 200 passes, and then he throws 3 in one game. Like, unbelievable. It was the deflation of your big-headed Brady balloon walking through the door.
Don't say deflate.
You could fit through a mouse hole right now after that matchup. Really, like you're really hiding in a corner if you own Tom Brady this week.
Chef, they ran the ball 5 times.
Yeah.
5 carries.
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
Do you know that's the lowest in the Super Bowl era? Like, that's
is it really?
Historically the lowest amount of rushing attempts in a game since the Super Bowl started. So, like, that's just hubris. Wow. That's like we came out and like we're gonna throw it or we're gonna do this, and it's early in the game you're backed up and it's 3rd and 9 and you're taking these shots and like you're just doing things that are out of your character. That's not within the character of their team. And then once they were down 14-0, they hit the panic button, and then it was all passing from then on.
It seemed like it fell on Brady's shoulders, and he just couldn't carry the weight. To be honest, like he missed AB on a couple passes. Godwin was playing with a broken finger. Evans was pretty much irrelevant.
Blanketed by Marshawn Lattimore again.
Yeah,
he shut him down all the time.
Yeah, he shut him down. So and then the one thing that was really wild to me was they were on the goal line. It was literally 4th and goal on the goal line. And they handed it off, or I'm sorry, it was third and goal. It was 3rd and goal. They handed off to Ronald Jones on the goal line. Ronald Jones gets stuffed. Yeah. And then the next play, they bring in Fournette. I said, okay, they're going to punch it in here with Fournette. This is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
But no, they call a play action. They throw it, and Gronk misses it in the end zone. So I just, you know what? That's 2 bad outings for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And going up against the Panthers next week, they better get their act together. You hear me? Get your act together.
Y'all hear us? Y'all hear us?
Yeah, they're gonna. I'm gonna send this clip to Tom Brady and Giselle, and they could play it over T tomorrow night. But yeah, and that's pretty much all I have to say about this game. It was just I turned it off after the second quarter. It was just bad.
I kept watching because I love Comedy Central, and I thought I was on the same channel. I love watching Comedy Central. I thought I was watching stand-up
on Fortnite than watch Tom Brady.
I was like, this is hilarious. You know what? You know what's funny? What's really funny is that I had the game on my laptop on one of my bar seats in my house. So the laptop was at my face level, and I was playing Warzone at the same time. And our first game, we got a dub. We got a double the first game.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Juan and I
we
did
got
the same thing. We hopped off at the end of the first
Nice.
half, and we played some.
Did you
Fortnite.
get a dub? Did you get a
No.
dub?
No.
Fortunately,
Okay.
no.
All right. Listen,
I'm
it doesn't
sorry.
always happen. We were
I got
lucky enough.
I got second.
Shout out
Took a
to
second.
I gotta say it. Shout out to MLand609 Ghost and Don't You Climb Trees, my boys Dot and Nick. That was a great dub. I love it. And one more shout out to hashtag Bree. She put buffalo mozzarella on her salad and said it was spicy, and she wanted me to tell you on air. Chef.
What?
To you. Yeah, she said that she put buffalo mozzarella on her salad and it was spicy. Do you not remember that?
That doesn't make any sense. You can't. I remember the joke. Yes.
You remember the joke, right? Where she thought buffalo mozzarella meant it was spicy, and you were like, "What?"
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
It does not. It does not make any sense at all.
It doesn't. Well, I told her I would bring it up on air. Speaking of things being brought up on air, we got to bring this up real quick. We got a tell coming in. Lally's locks. Thoughts on James Conner? Killed me this week. Will he bounce back? What do you guys
I'll
think?
take this.
Go
if you
for it,
want.
Please do.
I think he does. I think he does bounce back, at least for 2 games. He plays Cincinnati next week, and then Jacksonville. I would count him out in week 12 against Baltimore. That's going to be a tough one.
Thanksgiving night.
Yeah. I think he bounces back, and I think you're okay going forward with James Conner. You never really expected a huge game out of him. He hasn't hit 20 fantasy points since week 3 up against Houston, and I don't expect that to happen for the rest of the season either. But I think he's a safe RB2. He has a safe floor. It was that I think Dallas just shocked him coming out of the gate, throwing the ball the way they did, and completing some passes. And I like to add, with Big Ben a little banged up, they may lean on that run game just a little bit more.
I think you should trade him.
I think you should keep him. The weather's going to change. They're going to run the ball more. The road Ben is a real thing. Like, he struggles a little bit on the road, and they're going to have to get that running game right. And I think by the end of the year, he's going to be a workhorse again, and he should be a solid RB2 the rest of the way.
Okay.
How about
Lockett? She has Lockett to go ahead. Throw that question up there, Chef.
Yeah, I got you. How about Lockett? His inconsistency is scary, and that goes along. And the inconsistency of Lockett, it has to do with the game script on what they're doing. If they're leading the game and they're casually throwing the ball, it seems like, Lockett, he's boom or bust. He always has been boom or bust. You don't know that's the kind of player he is. He disappears on you. You can't because the day you sit him is the day he's going to blow up on you.
203 against the Cardinals. He plays them again, Chef. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're going to be bodying, trying to double team DK Metcalf. You've seen it yesterday. Like, you got to try to bracket him and do what you can. He should have more opportunity than he did in that game.
Oh, my God. They played the Eagles, then they played the Giants, then they played the Jets, then they played the – oh, my goodness. This is insane. You have to hold on to him. He plays – listen, just to put this out there right now, mark this down. You play the Eagles. Well, okay, they play the Cardinals. What?
Yeah, they play the Cardinals.
The Rams.
All right, whatever. Rams, Cardinals the next 2 weeks, right? Let's just throw those out of the way. Getting close to the fantasy playoffs. They play the Eagles, the Giants, the Jets, the Washington football team. I hate that I can't say it. And then they play the Rams in the whatever. Bottom line, hang on to Tyler Lockett.
A lot of those teams have shut down corners that are going to try to body DK Metcalf and
DK. They're all going DK.
That was the point that I was going to hit.
All going.
You're talking about Slay,
DK.
Bradbury, and Ramsey twice. Like, so
And
those
Ramsey twice.
Right.
Yes.
So those are
Ramsey
4 games Lockett should eat.
Yes, they are all going to go DK. Everyone's going to go DK. Those are Lockett games, man. And
All right,
look at you.
go.
Look at your name. Lally's Locks. Look how many L's and Lockets you got. You almost have Lockett in your entire name. You keep Tyler Lockett.
We appreciate it.
Oh, all right. So with that being said, pick 2 for the rest of the season. Mixon, Sanders, or Connor.
Ooh. I don't like Mixon's schedule, and the health worries me.
I
but
agree.
It should be Mixon Sanders off the cuff. Like, it should be right off the top of that. That should be the 2 guys. But the injury concerns with me a little bit. So I guess it's those 2 based on talent and the team that they're on and all that in this year. But yeah, I would have a hard time with Mixon or Sanders. I would keep those 2. We're almost
I think
at
I would
game.
keep mixing and Sanders too.
We can think about that for a second for Lolly's Locks.
Game already started.
Oh yeah, we gotta.
All right, we got to move.
Yeah.
We got to move. Yeah, I think it's Mixon and Sanders. Lolly's Locks. Thank you so much for tuning in for the questions. Let's jump into real quick to Monday night, which is right now.
Started.
It's already started.
We're at 11 and a half minutes into the first quarter.
We gotta go. Wrap it up,
We
boys.
gotta move.
What do we got?
3.5 minutes.
I'm
calling Cam touchdown and Patriots win.
indeed.
I'm
That's
saying
what I'm calling.
Jamison Crowder has a touchdown, and the Jets lose.
Frank Gore just got his helmet knocked off.
Patriots win under cover.
Oh, I had a prop bet for whether or not.
And we can we hear Devin Asiasi's name today? I've been wanting to hear that name all season. Is he active? Is he playing?
No, I don't think he's playing.
I actually don't know. Off the top of my head,
He might be, but I think it's Ryan Izzo. I think Ryan Izzo is the guy that if you want to play a tight end in like DFS or something, it would have to be Ryan Izzo tonight.
I think it put Jacoby Myers in the captain seat night. Sorry.
Yeah, I heard Chase out at Fantasy Intervention talking about that earlier today.
Did he really?
Want anything to do with Jacoby Myers?
With Mr. Swanson because he needs Jacoby Myers to not do well. So I was saying Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, I see you, cuz. Yeah, I see you. No problem. No problem.
Well, as of right now, the Jets have the ball on the 27-yard line, and Flacco just completed it to.
Any dissemination of this broadcast
Harrington
is prohibited, and right.
Cannot be disseminated without the express written consent of the
Right there.
National Football
Well,
League.
just
hang
on. I mean,
I gotta get
pretty much.
Yeah, before we get arrested, you guys, great show.
Seriously, I gotta go. Love y'all.
Yeah, me too.
Check us
Great
out on
game.
Wednesday. Peace out.
Wednesday night, we'll be back.
Let's do it.
Thank you for listening to the Tilts is Real Fantasy Podcast. Check out our website at thetiltisreal.com for weekly articles, breakdowns, and more. Follow us on Twitter at TIR_pod. We'll see you Tilters next week.